Okay, I'm not going to waste too much of your time. If you just want to see the technique, I'm going to show it first. And then I'm going to get into the nerdy side of it for those of y'all that want to know why it's working this way. Alrighty, first of all, I'll show you what's going on here. Now, hopefully I can pick this up on camera pretty well. I'm just going to show you what little bit of hair it might take at the moment. Okay, it's not a whole lot. Hopefully y'all can see that in the camera pretty well. If it'll focus for me. Alright, hopefully y'all can see that. Anyways, it ain't much. So, technique. You're just going to start at the heel and go into the tip. Start at the tip of the steel, work to the back of it, work from the back of your knife to the tip of your knife. Alternating sides, this side, that side. Now, you're starting off flat. I mean, hope you don't see what a little bit of angle difference there is there. But you're pretty much starting off flat is the foolproof method. Starting off flat, you ain't hitting your edge at all. Now, you're going to increase that just a little bit on both sides. And you're going to keep increasing it until right there you hear that pitch change. You went from that to that. Shh. Instead of a very kind of not so crisp sound until you hear a shh. Now you know you've come in contact with that edge. So you're going to start off shallow and you're slowly but surely going to move it up a little steeper and a little steeper until you hear it come into contact, and then you're just going to move it right back down flat again. Now obviously you're wasting strokes, but you know, on the flat side, but you know for a fact that you're not rolling that edge. So technique. Now then, let's see what it does. Now then, y'all ought to be able to see that pretty well. Anyways, so that's the technique. Now as far as why that works, let's get a little nerdy here. Let's start talking steels for a second. Two different kind of steels. This is a honing steel. They also make a sharpening steel. A honing steel is sleek as glass. There's nothing rough on this. A sharpening steel has little lines running down it. And when you use a sharpening steel, you actually see little pieces of metal that have been took away from your knife. So, in my opinion, they're a little bit of a waste of money, but I don't recommend a sharpening steel, especially for beginners, because you can really mess one up and waste a lot of metal, you know, in the beginning on a sharpening steel if you're not careful. So, I recommend honing steels. It's what I use. So, obviously, I'm going to recommend it, right? So, anyhow, go with a honing steel. These are cheap. It's like $10. I forgot what they cost, but look them up on Bunzel. There's all kinds of butcher websites. Just find you a good honing steel. Now, how that works. What is steeling? What does it do since it's not actually sharpening? What's it actually doing? Well, here's what it's doing. When you sharpen a knife, you got a knife that ain't got so much of an edge on it, kind of like so. So, when you're sharpening it, you're just grinding on both sides of it, and you're bringing it to an apex, where it's actually got a pretty good edge on it. Now then, over time of using that knife, you know, cutting stuff, doing whatever, that edge is slowly but surely going to start wearing on you. And you're going to get these little feather leak outs, or whatever you want to call them. Anyway, little pieces of metal that are just slowly going to stick out like this. It's on a microscopic level. All that steel is doing is when you hit that edge either side with it, you're just taking them little pieces and just straightening them back out. Hey, you got an edge again. That's it. So, now over time you're gonna put it back, and eventually it's gonna wear down and wear down. Eventually you will have to go back to a stone. But before that point, you know, you're gonna get so much more life out of that knife. That's what a steel does. It does not sharpen your knife, it hones your knife, and it prolongs the life of your edge. So, that's pretty much the magic behind it. Start off shallow and move up. Now there's different ways of using a steel. Some people put their finger right down the back and use their finger as a guide, you know, to know the angle on it. But once again, you'd have to have a precisely sharpened knife for that to work. And what I mean by that is, let's say it's 15 on one side, 15 on the other. That's great. But let's say it's like 16 on one side, maybe 25 over here. Let's say you're not a good sharpener. Let's say you might hit it a little flatter on one side than the other. If you didn't sharpen it at the same angle, why in the world are you going to sit there and steel it at the same angle. It don't make no sense. This is where most people mess up using a steel. You need to go by the sound, because that sound tells you where the edge is at. So unless you're using a predetermined jig or something that, you know, and they do make several of those, good sharpeners out there, but they make several of them that's already got a predetermined edge. So unless you're using one of them, there's no point in getting a predetermined angle on this steel. So that's what makes this method foolproof, because you're doing that. You're getting a little steeper until you feel contact on this side, and you're doing the same over here. You know, if it's this much on that side and then it's this much on this side over here, you're going to hear the difference. So you know that you're doing the work because you can hear that it's doing the work. That's what makes this method foolproof. Well, I tell you, well, pretty much makes it foolproof. But anyhow, there you go. That's how you use the steel, or that's how you use the steel in a pretty effective way.